Hi everybody, a very warm welcome to my channel, Nelly the Narcissist, or Nelly the non-narcissist who is not in fact a narcissist. But for anybody new that doesn't know, then this channel started with comedy to raise awareness about narcissistic abuse.
I'm a narcissist.
If you haven't seen those skits, then I invite you to go and take a look, and the link is down below in the description box. So time after time, I get questions on gender and why am I not making videos specifically about male narcissists or female narcissists? There are actually a few reasons for this, and I want to tell you about them today. But the number one reason that I don't give much energy to gender is because I believe that it can really distract us away from the deeper spiritual truth and meaning of what we've all experienced in this. Because I've spoken with so many people, male and female, straight and gay, and I can tell you in all the relationships that they've had with narcissists, it doesn't matter who I speak to. The truth is what happened to them, us, is exactly the same. So we've had the same shared experience. And when we boil it down, whether they're male or female, the true nature of real soul corruption and darkness, or evil if you want to call it that, it's totally genderless, because gender is a human system. Narcissists are not part of human systems in the same way, because what they've got going on in a spiritual sense is beyond it. But that's not to say that they don't use systems to their advantage, because they have to act like us, walk and talk like us, and disguise themselves. And I do believe that narcissists are more creature-like than human-like, and I'm not being derogatory. I'm really not, especially when psychopathy is involved in narcissists. These are real-life predators, and we may as well be on the African savannas. These are hungry predators that are on the prowl. And if we know nothing about the ways and workings of this kind of evil, and we say that it doesn't exist, then of course we're going to be in a very, very vulnerable position and off guard. On the grassland, we may be enjoying it. You know, we like the sun. We're not realizing what eyes we may have on us, what predators actually stalking us and moving in. And this narcissistic predator is operating like a creature. It's hungry and it's prowling, and it's not your typical type of human being. And when we forget it, when we forget that fact and we treat them like us, then we actually find ourselves in major trouble. And I'm speaking from experience. I feel with narcissists, particularly malignant narcissists, as I so often speak about, these are the most extreme in wickedness. I feel like they're outsiders looking in on the human realm, and they look in at our day-to-day living, and they're analysing and they're evaluating the life of humans. I've even heard narcissists tell me this. They're looking at the programs that we have and they're studying them. Why would they be studying them? Because they have a running agenda to manipulate and exploit us. And they want to use us for their agenda, which is to serve them and become subservient to their authority. Gender is a human system. It's a construct. It's part of our human interaction and our expression. And if we go back to Simone de Beauvoir, who said gender is performative, your sex is basically you're either male or female, but gender itself is a performance. What do narcissists love to do the most? Perform at being an everyday human. They're fully aware that gender is very much a human system, like I've said. And like any system, it can be infiltrated and exploited. So as outsiders, I see them looking in on the human world, and in their minds, you know, they create a list of advantages and disadvantages associated in society for whatever body that they're in. So they're aware of our programs, and they also know the performance of gender, in this case, how to act like a man or how to act like a woman. And with their internalized robotic list of advantages and disadvantages, they're aware of how they can work the system to benefit them. So I don't see narcissists as having a gender, because they don't really have a full identity, as they never fully became. That's the psychology. Instead, they're thinking, right, I'm a woman, I'm in a human body that's female, and I'm expected to be like this or like that. And I need to make this work for me because, you know, I need supply That is my main priority. So I'm going to use this body to whatever advantage that I can find. And everyone basically sees me as this woman. They don't realize that I'm a predator, and vice versa for the guys. I don't think they identify so much with gender due to their lack of core identity. I believe the main focus is on attaining supply at all means necessary for their survival. And the same goes for my belief with sexuality, which is why so many narcissists have the option to be bisexual, because it's all about securing supply for them to feed on. So they use the human systems, but they are outside of them. That's my opinion. Remember, many of them look upon us as being very, very stupid, far inferior to their supremacy. They consider themselves a cut above human people, but they know that they have to have a cover, and their bodies as a cover. And they also know when we see them, we see a man or a woman, and so we often get stuck on gender. And this is when it becomes problematic for us, because many people can get caught upon hating the physical representation of the wickedness within them that hurt them, instead of go beyond to the actual wickedness that hurt them, which is the essence, in my opinion, that's spiritual. It wasn't a man or a woman that did this. It was something beyond men and women. And many narcissists are aware that a lot of people won't get that and will get stuck on the physical image, on their gender form. And they won't dig deeper. So you see, it's a wonderful opportunity for narcissists. It's camouflage for them. But they've all basically got the same dark and corrupted core. And it wants what it wants. And those wants are basically the same. It's just they know to get those wants met, they're going to have to use whatever assets that they have to hand or to trade, in order to secure what they need, supply. Now, you can look at them as a predator or aliens or bots or all of it, because they scan us. They do figure out how to perform to get what they want from us, from the world at large. And their gender may dictate that they go about things differently, but the wants and needs, like I'm saying, they're the same thing. It's the same energy. It's just in a different body. But if you take it out of one body and you put it into another, I believe it's just going to change to whatever vessel it's in. It's like the man becoming a woman says, oh, this is great. I can do this now. Oh, but I can't do that. Oh, but I can do this. Oh, actually, this is better. Yeah, I can work with this. I know that there's plenty of channels out there that focus specifically on male narcissists or female narcissists. Why? I think because it sells. They're popular videos, so, people watch them. I just feel like gender is a surface layer that can distract us from going deeper into the core of what narcissism actually is. I think the purpose of true evil is to get us so distracted and to create those divisions and chaos amongst us so that we don't find the truth. And how I really feel it is that there's evil and then there's truth, but it's not on the surface. We need to go beyond the obvious. We need to dig to actually uncover it. But not everybody gets to the truth because, just like I said, the nature of evil is to distract us before we get to it. And I think one of the surface level distractions that's in operation, like I'm saying in this video, is gender. Narcissists are actually pretty in tune with the programs of society, some of them more so, but especially malignant narcissists. Psychopathic narcissists need to be aware of the programs of humanity that are running because it's in their interests. How are you going to manipulate somebody or a system if you don't know how they work? That's why they're like aliens and robots. That's why they get inside of you, figure out what you're all about. We as humans, we care a lot about gender, and it's one filter that we're looking at the world through. But, a subscriber also once said in a comment that stays with me, demons don't care about gender. They really don't. That's true, though. And I can listen to both men and women, like I said, describe what they went through with a narcissist, and, the core basis when we cut through it all is exactly the same, which tells me that they're all operating as one. They're one and the same, from exactly the same spirit, from exactly the same script. When you know one, you've seen them all. So I believe they're playing their parts, as men or women, but it's like a game to them because they're outsiders. They're just coming in, playing a little game, and then going out. I'm not saying that gender or sexuality doesn't play a part here, but they're layers, and we can get distracted by the layers instead of pulling them back to expose what truth is. And the truth is, evil does not have a gender. Evil doesn't care about gender. Evil's purpose is just to use people, whether they're men or women. When I spoke with the malignant narcissist that I dealt with post my awakening, to the level of evil that was housed within them, and I do have to use that word because I can't say badness, that's not strong enough. I can't even say wickedness because that's not strong enough. I can't say negativity because that doesn't even hit the spot. This was evil that I was dealing with. After interactions, I'd be left stunned in awe at the lies. And I'm going to have to make a separate podcast all about that because these weren't innocent lies. They were serious lies, and lie upon lie upon lie. This is why I know that it's spiritual. Because some intelligence within you knows that it's really not healthy for your wellness to be around such a person. And even though I was never a religious person, I was always a spiritual person. And what came over my lips one day when I heard the most amount of lies that I've ever heard in my life, just in 20 minutes of interaction, I suddenly said to myself, and the devil is a liar. And I kept repeating this to myself, really reflecting on it, the devil's a liar. So what I had actually said comes from the Bible. It comes from chapter 8, verse 44 of the Gospel of John. And it says, "He was a murderer from the beginning. He has not stood firm in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language because he is a liar and he's the father of lies." Malignant narcissists, they've got this energy. And the further into this darkness that they are, the more potently that we can feel the presence of this origin of their evil. And it's very scary. And there have been many spiritual and religious resources that I've actually looked into to gain deeper answers and understanding. And, this is in the Bible as well. Obviously, it speaks about the devil as a deceiver and tempter that seeks to tear down humanity's relationship with God and with love and distorts truth and enjoys to create strife between men and women to keep them in conflict so there's no unity amongst us. And this is an interesting point, and I felt the same, desire with narcissists. Just look at the way, basically, that they triangulate and make people hate and jealous of each other. I've seen narcissists particularly enjoying doing this amongst men and women. I have, to compound that gender hatred that's already present in our world. I'll tell you something that I haven't spoken about before. Now, I've had quite a few guys either email me or comment on the videos that have been subjected to narcissistic abuse by a female narcissist, that have developed the mindset that this is very much a problem with women. Now, on the other side, I've also seen comments on, not my channel, but other channels, that are geared towards a female audience, for example, that are targeting this as more of a man thing. And what I see happening, and by the way, I totally understand why it happens, because people can become blindsided and transfixed on the vehicle rather than the primary driver behind the steering wheel. And this isn't only happening, like I say, in heterosexual relationships either. It seems narcissists, they come pre-programmed to make you hate, and they will direct that wherever they want you to focus. But it will always be away from the narcissist, though. I'll explain more on that in just a moment, but I've heard comments from a couple of guys that have reached out to me, and they've made me aware of the work of some other YouTube channels that they particularly follow and they agree with. And I checked them out, and I saw that they've got really large followings, like really large. And when I listened to the content, honestly, I was horrified, literally, because some of these people are saying that women are not your friend, they're your enemy. And I got no idea how these channels are actually allowed to exist. It's very worrying, and I see it completely irresponsible, because saying that to the wrong person is dangerous. It's really, really dangerous. You could negatively influence somebody that is in a very vulnerable or unhealthy frame of mind, and who knows what they could do with that kind of information. And this is a really big reason that I'm very careful. I don't want to focus too specifically on female narcissists or male narcissists, because not only is it distracting, but it's a division. It's a major division. This is an agenda war. This is a spiritual battle. And it's not important what shape of body or what parts. It's the inherent nature of these individuals which seems to be the same, exactly the same. It's the same motivation and it's the same driver. I know that narcissists, they love to place their own negativity inside of us so that we can then continue the pain cycle, hurt others, hurt ourselves, and continue their legacy. So unknowingly to us, we do their work. And if they get you hating on your fellow people and targeting this towards, somebody, narcissists are wreaking havoc with this. It's not women that's the enemy. It's not men that's the enemy. The enemy has always been this energy of evil. And that's what we're up against. We're up against individuals that are going around creating as much destruction as humanly possible and just spreading their virus with them to take us away from the truth of who we are, to annihilate us and our lives. Any colour that we have, any richness that can be enjoyed within us, and if it's possible to make us carriers of their disease, they'll do it. They intend for us to turn away from love. They want to cut the connection. They don't want for us to be in unity. They really don't want for people to be at peace. They don't want for there to be love. They don't. They want everybody in trouble, strife, and conflict. Returning now for a moment to that energy and essence of evil. So the closer to the divine realms and to God that somebody is, the more love that you're going to feel within them. But the closer somebody is to the opposite energy, the more nastiness that you can feel, the more evil you can feel. It's a scary energy because it's highly unsafe and it will red rum. It wants to red rum. And that kind of ungodly satanic energy is a master manipulator and a shapeshifter. It's a red herring. For those of you who are not native English speakers, a red herring is used to describe something basically that distracts us, leads us away from the truth purposely. The truth may be in one place, but if you plant a red herring over there, someplace else, then the people will be led away from the location of truth and they won't find the truth. Now, ultimately, it's the role of Satan and it's Maya and delusion. And we know, the ones that are lost in delusion of power and grandeur are narcissists. They're surrounded, basically, and they're cloaked in this energy. They carry it from within them, this desire to create this chaos and confusion and destruction. And they have no connection to truth whatsoever because truth and love are inseparable. It's the essence of the divine spirit. And we know that narcissists are people of the lie. And the malignant narcissists, at that end of the spectrum, the lies just get thicker and heavier, like a dark fog. And gaslighting people is like planting red herrings, so they won't be found out. So they'll be looking the other way, basically, as the narcissists are going about their evil workings. They hide themselves behind multiple smoke screens and trying to find out any kind of truth from them, don't even bother because it will exhaust you. The delusional force is so strong, there's no truth. It's interesting that, the origin of the word devil actually comes from the Greek diabolos, which means to separate or to throw against. And when we consider the workings of narcissists and what can be found, in their playbook, this is one of their primary intentions, to divide and rule and to prevent people from knowing what the truth is. I have a quote here from Susie Kazim from Rise Up and Salute the Sun. And she says, when two brothers are busy fighting, an evil man can easily attack and rob their poor mother. Narcissists do this as they direct your gaze to one place and they get you busy fighting with your kin, people that are like you. And then the mother in this case represents your vulnerability and your vulnerable spots in which the narcissist can profit from your distraction as they silently rob you. But when you eventually do see the truth and you put it all together, all the pieces, then the veil lifts and you can never put the veil back on. You can't unsee. And when we consider division, for example, in Luke, it says that every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. It's really true because there's power in unity. And this is totally understood by the other team. Don't think it's not. The team that tried to take us out. They work together themselves. They work in packs. The entities attached to malignant narcissists and psychopaths, believe me, work in groups. It's team effort. But they don't want us united because they know there's power to people. So they try to isolate us away from good people, just like us, so they can gain power and influence over you. So you won't know the truth. You won't know what's being done. And also they're going to dismantle you so that you're no longer connected with yourself. So you're not united with your higher self, with your intuition, with your divine will and your consciousness, your connection to God. They want you divided from it all. They need you divided. And quite a common result after experiencing narcissistic abuse, especially from a romantic partner, is to misunderstand who the real opposition is. The majority of people are perceiving the flesh level, looking only at the surface. And that is a deflection away from the real truth. That's a red herring. Gender is more of a tool for them rather than an actual identity. And I really strongly believe that because I've also seen and heard narcissists doing a lot of shape-shifting around, as I said, changing all kinds of images of who they are, whatever suits them. And of course, learning how these narcissists and narcopaths, they move in the world can be super helpful to know. And I'm not completely averse to making a video or two, but I do want us to know what the real battle is against and not to get sidetracked and blindsided by these systems that are in place in our world, because believe me, they're coming from a very, very different one. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, sending love, and I'll see you all again next time.